2024 NBA draft is just 2 days away now, and there's a ton of speculation going around right now between Oklahoma City Thunder fans and analysts about what Sam Presti is going to do with the 12th overall pick. A lot of people are speculating that he's either going to trade up and get Donovan Clingan, or trade down and get Daron Holmes on a cheaper contract since he's not really projected to go in the lottery. However, there is an article that came out not too long ago by Clemente Almanza, and he's a great guy. I love reading his little articles that he always posts. He's one of the best beat writers and reporters right now I've seen for the Thunder, so you should definitely check out his work because it's very reliable, all right? His sources are always great, and so it's something that kind of stood out to me because he talked about the top 5 best prospects that we can take at the 12th overall pick, and today we're going to look at the top 3 that he has there because it's definitely interesting, all right? He provides good points for them, all right? He provides good points why we would take them. But then again, there's also some questions surrounding some of these guys, but there's always going to be questions surrounding rookies. And so in this video, we're going to take a look at this article and see his reasonings for each and one of these guys. But before we get all that, though, I want to take a moment and say, if you guys find yourself coming back on a regular basis and you enjoy the content on the channel, it means the world if you guys could hit the subscribe button. It's the best way to support the channel. With that out of the way, we can go ahead and get into this video and really talk about this first guy. And he's someone that's, his name's been floating around a bit, but he's not really the number one guy on a lot of people's boards. However, Clemente Almanza talks about him highly, and it's the guard from Tennessee, Knecht. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I didn't really watch his game a ton. I'm going to be honest, all right? I've seen a few highlights. I've seen, maybe 2 or 3 Tennessee games, and so I'm definitely going to pronounce his name wrong. And just being honest, his article that he wrote makes him sound nice. He's seen as the best shooter in this year's class. He is arguably the best jumper of the draft. He averaged 21.7 points on 45.8% shooting, 4.9 rebounds, and 1.8 assists at Tennessee. He shot 39.7% from 3 on 6.5 attempts. The 23-year-old will be an elite option both on catch-and-shoot looks and transition three-pointers. Knecht would be the best fit for the Thunder, even though they were one of the best three-point shooting teams last season. OKC lacked a high-volume outside shooter. He'd provide that. So it sounds nice on paper. He's a great three-point shooter, all right? And just at 5 rebounds with his size, he's a 6'5 guard who I believe said on his ESPN profile he's 180 pounds. I could be mistaken there. He sounds like a great addition, but it's the height that concerns me. Would it really transition to help us rebounding-wise? Because I feel like if we're not going to trade for someone else or, go sign a big name in free agency size-wise, and then I feel like we should take someone on, maybe a forward or maybe even a center, and that's why Daron Holmes looks good to a bunch of people because we could be trading down for him and getting him. But if we don't do that, 12th overall pick, he would be a nice option. He's a great three-point shooter, and we definitely want to build up some more three-point shooting and kind of take the approach. And, I'm looking at comments. I'm also looking at what we're building here. It's very similar to what the Warriors did and then what the Celtics are doing right now where they just want a ring. And so we're definitely kind of going on the same path that they are taking. And so it would make sense on paper to take him. However, he wouldn't necessarily be my number one guy at the 12th overall pick. My number one would still be Cody Williams just because of the pure athleticism and raw talent he can bring if we can kind of mold that. I know a lot of people talk about how Ousmane Dieng still provides that as well because they're very similar in projects and prospects there. However, Cody Williams, we know what he can for sure get if he pans out just like his brother J-Dub. And he has more raw talent and potential than his brother did going into the draft. And so that he's definitely still up there on my list. But Dalton Knecht from Tennessee, he'd definitely be an interesting guy to go after. And he's just not necessarily my number one. He's more of like the number 3 or 4 guy on my personal list. But I can definitely see why Clemente has him at number 1 because of that three-point shooting and getting 5 rebounds as a 6'5 guard in college. That's very impressive, and it'd be interesting to see if he can translate that to the league because it would be great to have a transition three-point shooter and catch-and-shoot guy on the team, especially at that high level as a rookie. It'd be great to have that. Now, there are other guys on this list now that I kind of like more than the Tennessee guy, Dalton Knecht. This next guy that he brought up is someone that I've grown to like a ton, and it's Tristan de Silva. He's someone that I've also seen, everyone talking about in the comment section, on Twitter, on the Reddit pages, about how he could be the perfect fit for us. And so here's what he had to say about him. De Silva is one of the more pro-ready prospects of this year's class. He'll be an immediate contributor. The 23-year-old spent 4 years at Colorado. He averaged 16 points on 49.3% shooting, 5.1 rebounds, and 2.4 assists last season. He shot 39.5% from 3 on 4.8 attempts. The 6'8" forward can stretch the floor and be a secondary playmaker. He has an NBA-ready frame, which means he'll be a plug-and-play rotation piece. He'll benefit playing with OKC considering how drive-heavy the offense is with Gilgeous-Alexander and Williams. He should get plenty of open looks from outside. So you're going to start noticing a little, reoccurring theme here with all these prospects on this list. They're, could potentially be NBA ready, and they're great three-point shooters from the outside. However, De Silva, I feel like he provides a little bit more to his game with his frame, his size, and, the ability that he has to drive in as well and, be a playmaker. I feel like that's great for us. He checks off a lot of, boxes that we need filled. Rebounding's not bad. 5 rebounds a game at 6'8". I'll take that as a forward, all right? Competing with Cody Williams as well, down there as well, where he's not really going to get as many open looks. He's not going to be the first option as much in certain games because if Cody's on, of course they're going to give it to him. They had 2 potential lottery picks on their team this last season, so of course some of those numbers are going to be down a bit. It's just, he is pro ready, all right? The only downside with him is something else I saw with Dalton, is the fact that he's 23 years old. He's going to be one of the older guys on our roster, which kind of is scary from a little standpoint. However, it's the fact he is pro ready. The fact that he's had time to mature and actually build up a solid frame and be a bigger guy. And I think right now he's kind of at number 2 on my list, right? It's a teeter-totter between 2 and 1 with him and Cody Williams, both Colorado guys. It's just, I don't think Cody Williams will be available for us. I think he's going to go at like 9 or 8 potentially because he keeps on moving up the boards. And De Silva could definitely be available at the 12th overall pick. And so if we don't trade up or down, I think he'd be the best option for us to get with all these guys available. I truly think that because he's 6'8", he's a forward. He could play the 4 spot for us if he truly needs to. Traditionally, he looks more like a 3 in my eyes, but he could play that 4. So I think it'd be a great addition for us. Great three-point shooter, drives really well. And so right now, he'd be number 1 on my list. But this last guy that's currently 3rd on Clemente's list, because Dalton's 1, De Silva's 2. This 3rd guy is someone that we haven't really talked about on the channel. He had a pre-draft workout about a week and a half or 2 weeks or so, I believe. And he's a perfect mold for OKC, I feel like, with not his play necessarily, but who he is as a person, what he does off the court, and how he acts on the court as well. And it is the Duke point guard, Jared McCain, and this is what he had to say about him. McCain was part of a dominating Duke squad this past season and was the classic one-and-done prospect. The 20-year-old averaged 14.3 points on 46.2 shooting, 5 rebounds, and 1.9 assists. He shot 41.4% from 3 on 5.8 attempts. The combo guard should be an immediate contributor with plenty of room to grow as an NBA player. He's an offensive engine who can score as both an on-ball and off-ball option. The playmaking can improve, but he should enter the league as a respectable passer. So he's someone that I find interesting. It's just a recurring thing that it seems like we're going to go for 3-point shooting at the 12th overall pick if we don't trade up or down. Because there is interest in Klingen, and of course, we did make this promise to Holmes apparently, and so it could be one of those things where we trade for someone's later pick and we still keep our 12th overall pick and take in 2 rookies this offseason. But it is interesting with McCain because he is one of the more dominant 3-point shooters in college in what he did this past season. And I think he would fit in really well with OKC. I think he would. He provides a great shooter off the bench because I don't see him as a starter in his first year. I could see him as a starter in potentially 3 years if he builds on his frame a little bit. He's still 20 years old, so he could definitely grow a little bit more. There's still, the slight chance he could grow another 2 inches potentially because he's still very young. Whereas with De Silva and Knecht, they're done growing. 23 years old, they're done. Their body's done growing. All they can do is just get stronger and get a little bit, fill out their frame a little bit more. McCain, there's still a ton of potential, all right? They say that the playmaking could be better, but there is still potential for it to get better. The 3-point shooting and just shooting in general is great with him, which would be a good addition for us, and that's why, personally, he's at 3 on my list as well. It's just the only one I didn't really agree with Clemente on is Knecht. I don't necessarily see it. When I've seen him play and everything, older guy, sure, he provides 3-point shooting, but in my eyes, that's really the only thing I necessarily see from him. I could be missing a ton from his game still, But in my eyes, the Tennessee guy, that's all I really see from him. McCain, I see playmaking and shooting abilities. De Silva, I see all around, and that's why I think he'd be great for us at the 12th overall pick. But speaking of McCain, I would not be mad if we took him at all either at the 12th overall pick. He's been jumping up in everyone's boards as of late, so he could be someone that falls to us as well at 12. I just wouldn't be mad because I don't think any of the rookies that we take this year, even if we take Deron Holmes as well, I don't think any of them are going to be starters, just being honest. They're going to be guys that come off the bench and provide an offensive spark for us and, hopefully help us out on the rebounding size, add a little bit more, size to our second squad here. So none of those guys would be starters. And so when I'm looking at these top 3 guys that we have here, I'd rather take De Silva or McCain. Being honest, McCain has room for improvement, and De Silva, I feel like he covers every aspect of the game very well. I feel like all around he's a good player that can provide instant impact for us on with our second string. But that's personally my opinion, and there's also some other guys that we can look at. Cody Williams is still an option. There is one guy that I absolutely don't want us to draft, and it's Kyle Filipowski from Duke, Jared McCain's partner in crime over there. I think he's going to be a bust personally, but that could be saved for another video if we do end up taking him, which I hope doesn't happen. But right now from this list, the top 3, the only way I'd flip it around would be move everyone up one besides Dalton, move him to 3 with that top 3. But overall, Clemente, he provides good points for all of them, all right? That's what he does with all his articles. He provides good points, and I just think, De Silva should be the first option, McCain at 2, and then if we have to, then you take Dalton Knecht, the guy from Tennessee, at the 12th overall pick if he's the best available there. But I think what's going to happen is it's just going to be whoever the best guy available is, all right, at the 12th overall pick. And I do think De Silva will fall to us, and I think he'd be a great addition to the team. But let me know in the comments who you guys would want to see us draft with the 12th overall pick. And if you guys disagree with my top 3 ranking there where I had De Silva 1, McCain 2, and then Knecht at 3. And also let me know how to pronounce his name because, once again, like I mentioned, I never really, saw a ton of his games. What I did see wasn't really the huge fan. Great three-point shooter, just everything else, meh. That's all I really saw from him. But let me know in the comments what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.